Hey YouTube, good morning. Well, I'm back from New York and I am still driving FSDBeta 11.4.1 and I have not made a narrow roads video yet. I already commented on this on Twitter that it definitely has a little bit worse of a behavior where it seems to stop a little aggressively and sometimes even in a situation where there's a yellow dividing line and a dividing road edge marking. So I wanted to get it on video, mention it to the engineers, let them take a look at it and see if we can maybe get a hot fix out for 11.4.2. There's a lot of roads in the US that are narrow like this. I know there's some standards and stuff like that, and perhaps the larger cities have wider roads. But this behavior is uncomfortable. While it's being cautious, aggressively stopping when you have the entitlement to the entire lane can really be dangerous if there's somebody behind you. So I'm going to use my typical narrow roads street here that is coming up on the other side of these railroad tracks that has some speed bumps, and here it goes over the railroad tracks pretty fast. Gosh, I was hoping it was going to slow down, but it just didn't. So I've got the camera set up a little bit differently, so hopefully you can see the height from the height, and right here it's in the middle of the road a little bit. It needs to kind of get over, and we do have a lead car here kind of giving us a little guidance, and there's definitely an obstruction to the left, so we should get a creep limit on this road. And there's a good example in front of us how that car creeped to get its visibility. Now look, it stopped here, now it's stopping again, and it aggressively went it felt like it should have creeped a little bit more. And here's the first speed bump, and it slowed very late, and it got down to about 22 when it hit it. Oh, look at this. We've got another Tesla oncoming here. So we're going to get our narrow roads example with another Tesla. And there it goes. Completely stopped. And now look how it's going towards the Tesla. Did you see that Tesla go off the side of the road there? He took his tire off the road to let me go by. And look at me going to the middle of the road here. What am I doing? All right, I'm now tapping the accelerator. That car is like, what are you doing? So it did not take long for me to demonstrate it, and even with another Tesla-sized car on this road, it is not comfortable. Now, I'm going to give an example here. If I'm over to the right edge of the road, like right now, I don't get the prompt to engage. See how the prompt just popped in, and it's giving me a road edge warning, but I'm going to go right here, and it won't let me engage. And then it jumps right over into the middle of the road. So it's definitely got a new bias that is creating its right edge buffer that's just a little bit too large here. So anyway, I got a car right behind me. So with this oncoming car, I'm really not going to be able to let it go too far. I am in the middle of the road with this oncoming truck. Do you see that? And now it's going over to the right, and a complete stop. And then wow, and now it's going back to the middle of the road with this other oncoming car, and I have to disengage to get over to the right. So I don't know how to describe that other than to show you. And it's got some weird biases to where when oncoming cars are coming, it kind of jumps into the middle of the road there. Okay, I'm going to cut over to a different road real quick, and we'll show you on a different geometry. Okay, here we go. And right away, let's see how this handles this school bus here. Okay, that's good. Now, if you notice here, I've got a yellow line and a white line, and look at that. Wow! It completely stopped. I've got I don't know how to describe that. It never used to do that. This is the narrow roads issue for 11.4.1, and I'm really glad I was able to get it in just a few minutes of driving. Here it's kind of giving a little bit of buffer going around that truck. That was fine. Willing to cross that yellow line to go around an obstacle. But when there's an oncoming car, I don't know if it's the, and I can pull up the rear cameras here just so you can see from this view. There's plenty of room with this yellow and white line here. But it's just, maybe it's the .1 release and we just got an extra safety buffer in here, and it's just kind of being really cautious. But stopping in the middle of traffic can't be the answer. It's got to be something different. Bias to the right, almost run off the edge of the road if you have to, but stopping like that isn't safe. I do have a car approaching from the rear, so show you there. So if I do get another oncoming car on this narrow road, and I'm calling it a narrow road only because of the behavior of the Tesla, not because it's actually very narrow. But if you can see this car on my rear end, And did you see the stop mark on there? Now, it just tapped it for a second, but this car behind me, fortunately, is pretty close. Now, I don't know if it didn't stop that time because there was a car behind me. That would be an interesting thing to think about. But that was the scenario I was worried about. And why it showed the deceleration and stop line as that car approached, even though it never did it, shows it was thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to turn it around and go the other direction just to kind of get the sunlight scenario kind of fixed here. I'll be right back. Okay, we've turned around and gone the other direction. This is a school zone. It's not flashing at the moment, but just to show you, there's no symbology here on the school zone. Now here comes an opposing truck just around the bend, and that time it biased to the right. So I felt a little bit of a tug, but it didn't overly aggressively stop. And here again, the same thing. It bent over to the right. Maybe that extra road turning to the right gave it some room. Not sure. Maybe we can look at that in post-production and see what the differences there are. And maybe it's just inches. You know, if this road narrows just a bit, maybe the car is detecting that. I definitely can see the white line on the right side going right into the edge of the grass here. But it isn't anything I would call uncomfortable. These roads exist everywhere and should not cause a problem. See if anything happens with this opposing car here. Not that time. So there's some variability in here on the same road. Maybe the sunlight's got something to do with it, obviously, because there's two cars in exact same road going opposite direction. No issues there. Oh, and look at that. Wow. All the way to a stop. What was different there? Maybe on the turn, perhaps? Didn't feel like the road narrowed, but I'd have to pull out the tape measure to actually know for sure. But that was the behavior. So maybe there's some just variability in there and it doesn't do it every time. We got two more cars coming up on this straightaway, perhaps before we get to the end of this leg. Let's see what happens here. This is right about where that bus was on the other direction. Okay. Wow. Okay. And it stopped twice there. All the way to 0. This is going to be a short video because I don't need to really show you anything else. I'll do one more leg on that speed bump road on the way back, and we'll put this together for you. Let me know what you think. I think this is interesting. Okay, just engaging here on my previous narrow road with the speed bumps, and it definitely jumps over into the center without the yellow line here. It looks like it did detect that speed bump and got all the way down to 17, which I think is the setting that it uses when it actually sees the speed bump. Have a lead car here with a little bit of an Amazon delivery truck that might be providing a little bit of a different scenario. But actually, look at this. I'm in the middle of the road, and the Amazon truck is actually over in the right location. So if a car were to turn right here, I'm right in the way. So this bias to the middle when there's no line is a little bit problematic here. And I got a car behind me, and I'm very slowly creeping out, and I need to proceed. Come on. And then it goes very, very slowly. Stop signs are not really good on this version either. It just is. I've heard a lot of other people's feedback on it. Just really slow. Speed bump there, it only got down to 24 when I hit it. It ended up getting all the way to 23. And then here we are behind the Amazon truck again in the middle of the road. And you can actually see it's mapping itself in the middle as compared to where that Amazon truck was, just for reference. Now, I do have some obstructions here. I do need to creep, but it is clear if it wants to proceed. And there it goes. Very cautious at the stop signs. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't look like we're going to get any more cars perhaps opposing here. Just some speed bump activity where it's slowing down a little bit late. The bias without the yellow line is definitely evident here with a lead car. The stopping behavior was most prominently shown on that other road, but we did get to see it on this road with that oncoming Tesla that hopefully in the camera you could even see he actually had to depart the road to let me by. So that kind of gave a good reference to vehicle size. So yeah, that's narrow roads. This is the behavior I spoke about last week. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about it, and they're probably going to set a little bit of a bias, maybe to smooth it out in the next version. I do think that here we are on railroad tracks. I love to do this, and I am basically stopping on the tracks, waiting for the green light. So that is not really the behavior we want. So, the .1 release of any release that goes out to the testers is always usually a little bit jerky, a little bit rough. Maybe the new neural networks are just not quite tuned correctly, and they need to loosen them up a little bit. That's why they do the .2.3 release. On 11.3, we went all the way to 11.3.6, I believe. So the same thing is probably happening here. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully this content is helpful in describing what we're seeing out here. And if Tesla finds it useful, please, love to hear from you guys, but I'm not sure that I will. But if you sneak your comment in the YouTube videos, I might not even know it's you. Have a great day, everybody. For the bonus round, forward-facing unprotected left is smooth as silk with no oncoming traffic.